I would like to thank the team at Huey for providing me with the free review copy of Sentinel. Sentinel describes itself as a retro-inspired shooter, and that's fine. I'm always up for games that like to revisit the past, but that doesn't mean it has to be boring. This game is extremely repetitive, shallow, and very short. There's so little content here, and what is here isn't even worth playing. Sentinel tasks the player with gunning down several outer space warships. This is done by destroying specific ground targets while avoiding and blowing up enemy ships and gun emplacements. After all the ground targets have been dealt with, a boss will appear, and defeating the boss ends the level. The controls are simple, but they're not bad. The ship moves automatically in one direction, while the player can move up and down. Holding down the fire button uses the ship's guns, and a boost button provides a speed boost, which is useful for chasing down power-ups. The ship's direction can be turned at any time, which comes with a little animation. During the animation, the ship is invulnerable, and it's meant to be used to avoid enemy attacks. The screen is constantly flooded with enemies and power-ups. It's definitely a sensory overload, especially when you pick up several score bonuses at once. Oh yeah, that's great. Just keep half the screen covered for a couple of seconds. Thank you. It's so hard to see what's happening most of the time that you're bound to take a lot of damage. But your ship automatically regenerates health when it hasn't been hit for a while. It even works Call of Duty style, where your health just starts filling up all of a sudden. Yeah, that's real retro-inspired. Due to the nature of the game, it's not difficult or uncommon to get through a level in under 2 minutes. Just focus on the ground targets, take out the boss, and you move on. At least each boss is pretty unique. I'll certainly give the team points there. However, fighting them is always a pain due to how flying around works in this game. Your ship is always either slightly too fast or slightly too slow, and it's impossible to adjust your speed. So you spend the whole game doing constant U-turns, and it's just dumb as hell. Just like how R2 is the boost button, L2 could have been the air brakes. It would have been a small addition, but one that could go a long way towards making the game deeper and more interesting. Speaking of which, there is so little depth to this game. You don't store weapons and switch between them for future use. You don't collect and store bombs to clear the whole screen of enemies in a panic situation, like every other shoot-'em-up game. You don't select from a handful of ships with different stats. Honestly, I should be grateful that there are even power-ups at all. This is such a bare-bones video game. It's so bare minimum, there's nothing here. As for additional content, you have 3 difficulties to choose from. I played the first couple of levels on the hard difficulty and the retro difficulty, and I honestly couldn't tell much of a difference between those and the normal mode. I'm guessing all it is that enemies are slightly stronger, and that's it. I was expecting the retro difficulty to at least disable the health regeneration, but no, of course not. Why try to do anything creative? Just adjust the enemy health and attack numbers and call it a day. Roll credits. Oh, of course this is a Kickstarter game. Why am I not surprised? Look, I'm sure there have been some fantastic Kickstarter back game in the past, but I've covered 3 of them this year and they were all terrible, even considering the genre that they were going for. Pantsu Hunter is a terrible visual novel, Agony is a terrible first-person horror walking simulator, and Sentinel is so generic and does nothing new or interesting at all. I finished the main game on normal in about an hour and 10 minutes, and I messed around with the additional content for about 15 minutes before I decided that I've seen everything there is to see. There's a dedicated boss mode, which all it does is skip you to the end of the level to fight the boss. That's it. Oh, thank you so much, because those levels were so long as is. That was my biggest complaint, and you really covered it. The other is survival mode, which has the player trying to live for as long as possible. Not bad, and I'll give them credit for at least doing this one well. There's also a special challenges system that tasks the player with doing things like achieving a high enough score, destroying all the gun emplacements, etc, etc. Just in case you somehow haven't had enough of Sentinel. Right now, Sentinel is on sale on Steam for $1.50. And you know what? For that price, it's alright. As much as I've been whining and complaining about how uninspired this game is, it at least does function. But at the full price of $15? You gotta be kidding me. And these stupid little graphical filters may be cute, but they do nothing for the game itself. Instead of trying to pander to a retro market, how about you focus on making a game that's actually good? Thanks for watching my review on Hyper Sentinel, and I would once again like to thank the team at Huey for providing me with a free copy. I know I was really harsh, but that's because I'm passionate about what I do. And when I see a $15 game, I expect a $15 game, not a student project on Newgrounds.com. Apply yourself next time.